And for more discussion of this yet to be centered nuclear weapons deal between Iran, the United States and European Union, I'm joined by Professor of International Law Ademola Abbas. He joins us via Skype. Good to have you join us, Professor Ademola Abbas. It does look like Iran has been emboldened by former President Trump's withdrawal from this deal. What do you make of Iran's latest position?
Well, good afternoon, and thank you very much for having me. Well, let's take a step back from where we were coming about this deal. Don't forget that the deal was, reached in 2015, basically, which was to encourage Iran to discontinue its enrichment process in return for, easing of multilateral sanctions imposed on it by the United Nations, United States, European Union, and so on and so forth. And we know that they started the process in 2016, and Iran was behaving pretty well, until 2018, I think about May 2018, when Donald Trump, then the US president, decided to unilaterally withdraw from the agreement. And what the US president then cited as justification was, the inclusion of a sunset clause in the deal itself, and also the fact that the deal did not include Iran's fomenting trouble in the region, as it were, and so on and so forth. And then you are not surprised that now that Biden wanted to reach out back to Iran, to have an informal communication started, Iran said, no, I'm not going to do that unless first you lift the sanction that your country massively imposed. That is by Trump after. So that's where we are now. Each of them knows what to do. US is willing to reopen the negotiation, but Iran is saying, no, if I can do that, I want to see good faith by first of all lifting the sanctions that are imposed by your predecessor.
Absolutely. That's where we are. Iran wants the U.S. to lift sanctions first. The U.S. is saying Iran must first show some level of compliance to the deal. So who should take the first step in reviving this accord?
It's a very interesting question that you asked, because when you look at it on the one hand, U.S. is saying, look, we will restart this. It's a new administration. It's a goodwill gesture that we believe in multilateralism. And don't forget, one of the questions of Biden's campaign has been to re-engage with multilateralism, and we saw a withdrawal into unilateralism when Trump was there. So I think what the US is thinking is, look, we are the good guys, and we are saying, let us restart this. So they are thinking Iran should take the first step. But Iran is saying, look, hang on, I have been there before. Why should I trust you now that you just quickly say, okay, I want to go back? There are no guarantees at the end of the day as far as Iran is concerned. The number two, don't let us forget that the whole idea of even the sunset clause was to slow down Iran's pace, so that if it ever decides to enrich uranium, to take it one solid year before it will even enrich for one nuclear bomb. That is the sunset clause. So what Iran is doing now is that, you know what? I want you to lift the sanctions. So you might say Iran also is trying to buy time for itself to continue what it's doing. And from that point of view, Iran is going to move forward. So I think it will come down, hopefully, down to the European Union, maybe plus Germany. Don't forget, it's a P5+1. The EU, that is UK, basically France and the UK, France and EU and Germany to be able to persuade either side. I'm hoping to be able to persuade Iran probably much faster than the United States to go back to the.
All right, Professor Abbas, I want to quickly stay on the point that you raised, the fact that Iran is trying to buy time so that it can enrich its uranium stockpile. But let's look at the fact that Iran will be holding presidential election in June this year. And if a hardline presidential candidate were to win that election, it would jeopardize the progress made so far. So how critical is it that the US, the EU, and Iran sign a new deal or find a way to comply to the old one?
No doubt about that. Thank you. It is extremely critical. As you said, if you have a hardliner coming in, don't let us forget the years of Ahmadinejad, and don't let's forget where all this started from in 1979 after the Shia Revolution. We don't want to go back there, for goodness sake. Nobody is interested in going back there. So it's very, very critical for the international community to be able to find a quick fix to this problem. Thankfully, the US has not out so far the same route that Biden has not gone down the route of Trump. Don't forget, Trump's biggest problem with the deal, as he claimed, was the price of the sunset clause and the fact that the deal did not include the geopolitical role of Iran, so to say, in the troubles in that particular region. That is not there. Biden has not insisted on that, so that's already a good way forward. So the best thing is for them to be able to say, look, let's meet Iran somewhere along the line. You can ease, this. Don't forget that Iran has now been violating some of the distance since 2019, and just last week, at least Iran agreed to, some level of, inspection by the IAEA, which was suspended some time ago. So I think Iran has shown a bit of good faith in us. Look, I am willing to re-engage, but do not ram this down, lift the sanctions, and more importantly, what the EU is trying to do through the IAEA to force the board to be able to adopt a resolution against Iran shouldn't go forward. So I think this is where the key is. US must bring its force to power through a multilateral negotiation, through multilateralism, to make sure that they not tear Iran down to its obligations.
Thank you so much, Professor of International Law at Ademola Abbas. Thanks for talking to us.
For having me.